This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When was the last time you reviewed your insurance policy? So it's been a while, huh? Well, no worries. My friends at the Austin Brummett Agency would love to hear from you and provide you with some amazing rates. Give them a call at 678-402-8262 or email them at abrummett@farmersagent.com. That's ABRUMIT at farmersagent.com, and tell them Harley sent you. Insiders, Inside the Bubble with Harley G is now sponsored by BetterHelp. As a partner of this episode, listeners can access the BetterHelp link located in the show notes to receive 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help. Go to BetterHelp, that is BetterHelp.com/inside the bubble, the link to get started. You're listening to Inside the Bubble with Harley G, the podcast for the superwoman. Every week, we connect with amazing individuals who share their inspirational experiences and stories while motivating and inspiring purpose. It's time to hang your cape. Grab your coffee, your water, your cocktail, and come on in Inside the Bubble with me, your host, Harley G. Welcome, insiders. We are Inside the Bubble with Harley G, and I'm actually recording this on Black Friday. So, for all you people that are out there beating the pavement, I commend you for that. Good luck. So today I actually have Tiffany, and Tiffany does something that is just near and dear to my heart. It touches my soul. Tiffany is all about organization and planning. And if some of you know me, you know that because of my life, it's so insane that I'm very much of a planner in some aspects. Well, I can be a free spirit if I need to, but I'm very much of a planner in some aspect. It helps to have structure, especially when you have multiple kids and they have to be in so many places at so many different times. But what I truly admire about Tiffany that you'll find out is her philosophy when it comes to organization and planning, and how there are some things that she does that I actually never thought about. And there's a whole secret society of organizers and planners that she's in, that I really want to kind of get into. So, Tiffany, thank you for coming on the pod. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And so I want to know how did you even get into this space of organization, planning? How did you, like, you just woke up one day and you were like, you know what, I think I'm going to be a planner. How did that happen?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, and especially to talk about what I love, organizing and planning. So I have been organized all my life. Um, I was the student that had to get the Trapper Keeper and the Lisa Frank stuff
You
and have it all
Trapper
together.
Keeper. OMG.
You remember the
OMG. If you're a 90s kid, you totally had a Trapper Keeper. It was that in the book bag.
right, right. You
Yes.
had to have all your stuff together in the little pencil pouches and this
Mm-hmm.
and that. So like that was me.
Yeah.
I loved having my things in order. I loved having my room in order, like knowing where things were. Um, and it wasn't until in my 30s when I went through a divorce where I started understanding that like that strength of organizing is what like carried me through this emotional and you know just a physically different kind of world, right? Like going
Mhm.
from having two parents to helping out to just, it being me. And like, how do
Mhm.
I, get a routine, and how do I keep things in place so that I can keep up with everything along with what I was going through emotionally, right?
Mhm.
And so I started thinking then that, I want to like do this for other people. Like I want to help other people get organized. And, my family would ask me all the time, like, could you come over here and just clean out my refrigerator? Or, they called it cleaning, but it was really organizing, right? Like
Mhm.
throw away the expired stuff, get my pantry back together or whatever. So I found out that there was a National Association for Professional Organizers. Okay. Who knew?
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my God.
With all the resources there. And so I just began to explore that career path and started my business in 2016.
Mhm.
Officially, I had already like kind of started working, but yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So it's as you mentioned, you were always kind of like an organizer. That was always something that was part of who you were, who you are. And talk to me a little bit about going to that process of going through a divorce, and really it seems like at that particular phase in your life that became very apparent for you that okay, I need this to get through. Like I would never think that I wouldn't, ignorant me, would never think that, when I think about divorce, like, ooh, organization. Like I would never put those two together. So like talk to us a little bit more about like how those two went hand in hand together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and it's interesting that you say that, like, because my mind naturally went that way, and you said like I
Mhm.
would have never thought about that.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing I had like I had an infant child. So I was, waking up in the middle of the night doing feeding. So I would have
Mhm.
like before I went to bed, I would put like everything out in the room with us that I would need, for that night because there's no one
Mhm.
else to like go downstairs and get stuff,
Get
right?
it for you. Right.
So I gotta like have everything there. I knew we were getting up in the morning, so I would pack his bags, for the night before that whatever needed to go to the sitter. I would have my clothes out the night before, like everything, in place. I would put sticky notes like on the door, on the fridge, like don't forget this or don't forget that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I had my ex-husband, we met weekly. I had a dry erase easel in my
What?
in my living room to go over what was gonna happen for the week.
You guys have weekly conferences.
I did a whole teacher move. So so yes, like I just had to have things in place and in order for my own sanity. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Wow. Now, that do you feel like that has translated to your child?
Yes, I do. I have a
Okay.
son.
Okay.
He's 17 now.
Okay.
So yes, I do feel like that has translated to him. Like he has his things in place and in order. And because basically he has always gone between two homes,
Mhm.
he has his own routine. Like now he's driving and he just takes himself back and forth. But
Mhm.
um he has his own routines. Like he pretty much always has his bags packed. He will when he gets his whatever like contacts, he'll put some of them at his dad's house, have some of it here. Like he knows
Mhm.
how to do that on his own now. So I do
Mhm.
feel like it has transferred to him. But yeah, I didn't get into this, but I specialize in student organizing.
Mhm.
And there's just so much around students and their executive function skills, especially for teenagers and preteens, that this I still have to coach and guide,
Mhm.
but he recognizes what needs to be done for the most
Okay.
part. So yeah.
Yes, and so that's something that I want to get into, right? Because now, okay, it's great, and I think I'm at like phase one where I can organize my life. I'm not about to go into somebody else's life and organize theirs. Okay, it takes a special person to do that, and but you were able to even take it now further and now go into people's lives, people's homes, people's, whatever, and like actually do it. And so did you start your own business from there and you thought, hey, I'm going to start doing this for people?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you just mentioned student organization. Would have never thought about that either. Like, so now you actually tell us a little bit about what does that mean, student organization, and then we'll get into some other areas that you also organize in.
Yeah, so I started doing just general home organizing. So that's, your pantry, your bathroom, you're getting ready to move, you're having a baby, you might be going through different life transitions,
Mm-hmm.
and how to get organized, right? Or just stuff just all over the place, and you just want somebody to come in and figure it out, set up a
Mm-hmm.
system, and then do this. So I
Mm-hmm.
started doing that, but I am an educator by training.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still am a school administrator. But I started recognizing that students, particularly students with ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, kids on the spectrum, kids with anxiety, um, there's that realm of kids. And then there's also just preteens and teenagers. They also have some executive dysfunction just because of what's going on in their brain and their hormones during that time. And so I just started kind of looking at how can we replicate some of the things that teachers do to keep organized and orderly kind of spaces
Mm-hmm.
into homes, right? So when you walk your child to class, like think about like you got a fifth grader, sixth grader, right? They're going to class. They know where to put their backpacks and stuff. Like they know where to turn their things in, where to get their papers. They know where to look on the board for where the assignment is. Like there's like a routine, and we can do the same thing at home to
Mm-hmm.
take off some of that labor on parents, particularly moms, most of the time, as to, where's your backpack? I didn't sign this form. You got one shoe, you don't have the other shoe. Now we're going to be late. You've heard it all. You've been there. That's why you're smiling. So,
Yep.
so
Yep.
that is kind of what I do with family. So that is, talking to the parents, finding out what challenges they've been having. I work primarily with the child with student organizing. So there's like a meeting with the parent, but for the most part, like I'll do an assessment of the child and what they do. Really, they do their own self assessment, and we look at those areas that need to be worked on. And then we meet regularly and just kind of talk through that. Usually I have access to like certain things, or either they'll pull it up, like, your online school, Infinite Campus, or whatever the system is. They pull it up. We look at, what do you have any missing assignments? What's due? You got an essay or a project that's due in 2 weeks. Like, how can we divide this project out? Let's look at your schedule so that you're not doing everything 2 days before.
Right.
Um, Usually I have their numbers and they usually have phones, so I'll text them like, "Good luck on your math test tomorrow." Did you study? Um,
That would be helpful.
right, right,
Did you do the most important thing?
right. Get it. Good luck.
Exactly.
Right,
Oh crap.
right.
Anyway.
So it's the other mom. It's the other mom voice,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
if, as I'm taking the role of a coach around academic studies versus the
Mm-hmm.
coach for tennis or
Mm-hmm.
basketball, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of what student organizing kind of looks like. I just finished a caregiver clinic for parents of students kindergarten through third grade because they're
Wow.
often left out,
Mm-hmm.
and particularly since the pandemic started, that that age group missed the beginning of how to school, right?
Structure. Right.
Ladies, I know there's so much to do and not enough time in the day. Trust me, I'm right there with you. But what are you doing for yourself? Well, I've recently discovered Body Bar Pilates. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Body Bar Pilates will challenge all of your major muscle groups and provide you with a full body workout. Wow. Listen, I had to check it out. I took a class with Sherelle and it was amazing. They have workouts for all skill levels, whether you're just starting out or you're just looking for a new way to move your body. This is the community for you. Check out my friends at Body Bar Pilates East Cobb or give them a call at 678-941-4371. And don't forget to mention me, Harley G.
And so, and there's always like this uncertainty a little bit, right? We kind of,
Mm-hmm.
getting there, but what if we go virtual? What is this? What is that?
Right.
So like trying to I call it calm the chaos of like we're returning to learning, whether you are in a traditional school, homeschooling, virtual schooling, like there are things that you can do to make sure that your kids those skills that they need for organization and planning and time management are continuing to be strengthened because that's the age that usually they get it. They've been schooling 2 or 3 years, so they
Yes.
get that, right?
Yeah.
They do the calendar every day. They do the
Right.
morning meeting and talking about what they're gonna do, and they miss that. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
for 2 or 3 years, and so I just did a 4-week clinic all about just returning to learning and supporting those skills at home.
So what are some of the what are some of the lessons
Mm-hmm.
involved with that, right? Because it's like you said, you missed out kind of like that natural window that happens of, like my kids went to kindergarten, so they know first thing when they walk into the door, they have to drop off their book bag over there. They have to pick up their breakfast over here. They have to sit
Yeah.
at the table. Like all those things, like you said, in the pandemic, they didn't have that structure. They were home, right? So how do you begin to even set that structure for them?
Mm-hmm.
And the parents too, right? Because it's
Right.
like,
Right.
oh,
That's the
yeah,
biggest thing. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So I have 3 tips that I use for all students, whether it's kindergarten through college. The first one is to create a routine.
Mhm.
And I always say that your morning routine begins at night.
You
So
are
starting the night
absolutely.
before, getting your things together,
Yep.
and not waiting until right at bedtime, but about an hour before bedtime. If they're young kids, like elementary kids, this is the time to say, like, go through it with them. Like, do you have
Mhm.
your homework folder? Pull it
Mhm.
out one more time. You did, I know you did your homework. It's over there on the kitchen table. Let's bring it over. Oh, like, oh, I see the piece of paper. You're supposed to ask me to sign this. Let's
Mhm.
sign it. Look where I'm putting it. I'm putting it on this side when you're supposed to give it back to your teacher. Just kind of walking them through that like we normally do. Middle schoolers and high schoolers should be able to um, do their work on their own when they get home. And then, like an hour before, I call it a check in.
Mhm.
Hour before bedtime, mom, dad, you pull up the whatever the system is that says what they have due. Um, and say like, okay, it says you had these 4 things to do for homework. Did you do them? Like, you don't have to like
Mhm.
look over their shoulder and say show it to them. Maybe you do. I mean, your
Mhm.
homework,
Mhm.
but at least saying like, I'm in this with you. I'm gonna check on my end because it's my
Mhm.
responsibility to check. You should have done it by now. And then if they haven't done it, then they got an hour to get it done. It's not after bedtime and now you trying to decide, are we gonna do it right? Wake up early and do it,
Right.
or go ahead and when you do it now, just stay up past the bedtime, right? So do that. Charge all your devices during that time. Shower, do all those things. And if you're charging the device, that's separating them from the device
From
the
yep.
hour before
Mhm.
bedtime. Um, and having that kind of routine. I talk about having a go station in your house. That we always say it's time to go. So when it's time to go, everything that needs to go is in that go station. Maybe it's a
Got it.
laundry basket. Maybe it's
Yes.
place where you hang your purse and all that. But like you as the parent, your things are in the go station, so you're not looking for your keys and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Their things
Mm-hmm.
are there. If it's PE and they need to change their clothes for PE the next day, or basketball practice, or your yoga mat, whatever it is, everybody put your stuff in the go station.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a child that's prone to missing shoes, they're the child that got to put their shoes out at night.
Right.
You got to put your shoes out because you know you are the one that be looking for those shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So creating that routine the night before, so then the morning routine goes a little more smoothly.
Perfect.
The other one is managing your time and teaching children how to feel time, because time is an abstract concept. And then
Mm-hmm.
we have digitized it so much with digital, a digital clock, right? So all they see
Mm-hmm.
are the numbers. But when we were growing up, we actually had an analog clock, the clock with the round face, and you could feel the sweep of time. But
Mm-hmm.
they don't get to feel it anymore.
Right.
So first things first is putting a couple of analog clocks up in your classroom. I mean
Wow.
your house, because classrooms still have analog clocks.
Yes.
One, they teach time,
Right.
and two, because classrooms just have analog. I mean, the
Yes.
school got to have an analog clock. You
Right.
just got to. So, so they get to experience that sweep of time. When you say 5 minutes, like they can actually see that second hand go around 5 times
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at that little minute hand
Yep.
begins to move. So feeling that sweep of time and helping them to manage their time, that's like a number one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then the difference between managing their time and managing their energy. So time is, finite. Like we got 24 hours a day. Like
Mm-hmm.
do a time audit, we can see like what you do throughout the day or what you do throughout the week if you are older, or even an adult, like doing your own time budget the same way you do a financial budget. But
Right.
when we talk about managing your energy, is like how much white space is left on the time budget, right?
Right.
You know, and with that white space, are you filling it with the things that refill your bucket? What are
Mm-hmm.
the things that you enjoy doing? I hear a lot of college students say, I used to run in the morning and I used to do this and I used to do that, but I just
Yeah.
got so much to do. I was like, okay, so let's figure this out. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
look at all your non negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's also look at where you can put in the things that you used to be able to do that brought you joy.
Yeah.
And that we know about our kids' mental health,
Yes.
and how important that is. And when the typical pressures of what you experience as a young adult or as a
Mm-hmm.
teenager, is just so much of a burden to them, because of what they have been through lately. And so helping them to understand how to put some of those things back into their lives and managing their energy, not just like every single moment of the day, right?
Right.
How can you give back to yourself or
Yes.
give to things that you enjoy doing, you know?
Right. So making sure that not only do they get organized, but that they also prioritize self-care
Mm-hmm.
very young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's a message that they always hear or they've always heard, right? Then when they are on their own in college, professionals, young professionals, then they're not, hopefully, they're not struggling with it as much as people who have not been exposed to it because they've already put that into their routine. They've automated it so that it's part of their routine and
Right.
organization. That's very good because I find that maybe our generation, for me, it's something that I had to really kind of focus on and make sure that I stay on top of it because when I was young, which is not bad, but my example was working parents that are working really hard all day, every day. They come home, we have time to sit down and have dinner, and then we go to bed and we start over tomorrow, right? So it's like repeat, and I never really truly saw my parents making a priority to have that self-care time.
Right.
So it wasn't until actually not too long ago
Mhm.
that when we started really having conversations about mental health and wellness and well-being, that the self-care piece really became prominent for me. But before that, it really wasn't. It was just like the harder you work, the better of a person you were,
Right.
it was just kind
Right.
of,
That
so
busyness.
right.
That busyness
Um,
equal productivity
yes, right.
versus.
We based it's on how much you could squeeze into the day.
Mhm.
That's what we based it on,
That's
right? Not like, hey, do your 1 minute meditation every day
mhm.
or do your 5 minute downtime every day. Like we glamorized taking a bath and having a glass of wine, but it wasn't the norm. It was just kind of like, oh, when you have time, you can have, some time to yourself or whatever. But it
Right.
wasn't like, okay, this is something that you have to include in your routine every single day.
Right.
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 Very cool. Well, talking of organization, as we are on the subject, and can't believe it, we're like halfway through. But we are now in the middle, in the thick of the holidays. Not only that, but New Year's is literally right around the corner. We're gonna blink. Well, I blinked, and this year is over. But we're literally right around the corner from New Year's, and of course, along with that comes planning for the new year, goals, all of that. And I feel like you know most people, we have our New Year resolutions and we put them in place, and we're good for about maybe a good 4 weeks, right? And then at the end of the year, you don't even remember what your New Year resolutions were.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that on how to plan so that you are always working towards those goals throughout the year, how to set them up so you're successful, right? So that it's not just like New Year's resolutions are like a month, and then after that, they just fall off. And then, of course, I also want to talk about like the holidays, they're coming. Should we be thinking about purging? Should we be thinking about organizing now? Or is that, and then if we are, how do we go about it again so that we are successful doing it? So it's not just this thing that we start that maybe we don't finish, all of that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll start with the holiday part.
perfect.
I figured that's what's on most people's minds.
Yes.
Um, yes, we should always be purging, decluttering, taking things out as, because stuff, I mean, we just got stuff
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
stuff comes in. Like it just is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recommend that like maybe in your coat closet or linen closet or right at the door of the garage or something, um, that you have like a box or some kind of bag where every time like you realize like I just need to give this away, like you make sure
Mm.
it gets in there, and then when the box gets full, you can just take it out. So it's like a regular system. So
Yeah,
you're
and
not
it's so
like waiting.
simple. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
yeah, just
Oh,
having something there, you know
yes.
just a regular box, and you can just throw it in your car when you're done, and when you drive past whatever, drop it
Mm-hmm.
off.
Right.
So that's pretty simple, and then you don't have to wait for certain times. But of course, like seasonally, we usually do a lot more purging.
Yeah.
Too little clothes for kids, or shoes, things like that that we know that we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different kind of time to
Yeah.
declutter. So seasonally, like right now, if you know that there's some summer things that you won't be wearing again, or there's
Mm-hmm.
some winter things you tried on and you won't be wearing that maybe.
The
you
summer got to you. It got to you.
Yeah, right. Then go ahead and put that in that box.
Okay.
Get that on out.
Yeah.
And then begin to like think about what's like most important for you during this season.
Mm.
For some people, like they like to do a lot of entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
or they like going to, different gatherings, if
Mm-hmm.
people like really enjoy that, then like decide like, okay, like I know that I usually go to 4 or 5, I go to this person's house, yada yada yada. I want to take, bottle of wine or this or that, and like go ahead and just set that up, right? Like, okay,
Mm.
if I'm probably gonna do 6 different houses, I can do the same gift. I can do 6 bottles of wine. I can do whatever.
Yes.
I always make this certain dish. Go ahead and just buy the supplies for it. Don't keep going back and forth to the store every time it's the next
You have to
dish,
do it.
right?
Right.
Just get the stuff that you can get now,
Right.
um, that doesn't perish, and go ahead and like have that in the section of your refrigerator or house or wherever, so you can make whatever for your family or friends. And then for those who might be going through, some type of grief, some life transitions, things are different for you now. Think
Mm-hmm.
about like, what's most important to you. Like, how can you save your energy to get through this holiday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say like, okay, the most important thing are these two things. I know I need to go to this work function. This is important. I want to go to that, and I want to go to my auntie's house, or
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what it is that you need to bring or not. What Go ahead and think about what you're going to wear. So that's just one less thing that's taxing on your brain,
Right.
for you to just say, okay, at least I got it planned out. So when the time comes, although it's going to be hard for me to get dressed and go, I know that I have what I need. So
Mm-hmm.
thinking of ways to kind of plan ahead, whether you are that person that's out there or whether
Mm-hmm.
you're that person that's not,
Right.
just kind of thinking about how to make it the best for you.
Yes.
Um, and with your children, if you have children that need to participate in this, like using them to help with that, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's figure out what we're gonna wear, or let's figure, when we go to this house, these are the things that you expect that you do with your friends. Like, are you going to take your coloring things? Are you going to take your Legos when you go over? Like, what's going to be the plan? And so just
Mm-hmm.
kind of have that plan there. I'm a big about using a planner or a calendar, particularly dry erase,
Yes.
as a family calendar with different
Mm-hmm.
color markers
Yep.
for each person, so
Mm-hmm.
they can see visibly. I call it making your thinking visible. um,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of offload it off your brain, and it's up there for the rest of the family to
Right.
take part of being accountable for some
Yes.
of the things as well.
Yes.
So those 2 or 3 things I would suggest for this holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
And then to prepare for after the holiday, when the Christmas stuff or Hanukkah, whatever stuff goes on sale, the bins, the organize your
Yes.
ornament stuff, do it then. Don't try to do it this. Just use what you got right now.
Yep.
Let's not go
Mm-hmm.
there. Okay,
Yeah.
don't just bring in more stuff to figure out what to do with it later. Just It's gonna go on sale. Decide if you need, what ornament
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna use next year. Get the ornament keeper thinger,
Yes.
whatever. Get the red
Yes.
and green bin, so you'll know that's where your Christmas stuff is. Throw away
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that's broken, the lights that don't light up. You tried them, they didn't work. Don't put them back in there. Throw
Tiffany
those
gonna come
things
looking for
out.
you. Gonna come looking for you.
Put that back in there. Get rid of that stuff. Okay. And then then put it somewhere where you can store it and know that you'll be prepared for next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think for me, one of the things that I often struggle with is the closet.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So I keep buying clothes
Uh-huh.
and then I just keep accumulating them
Uh-huh.
and shoes. And
Do you
yeah,
wear them? Do you wear
huh?
them? Do you wear them?
I I do. I'm a big okay. The shoes, yes, I do. I do need to purge. I'm not gonna lie. The clothes, some of them I don't. And I tell myself like, okay, so I want to ask you a question too. I tell myself, okay, you haven't worn this in a while, Harley. You need to get rid of it. Like, and I keep telling myself, no, but maybe one day I'm going to go for it and it's not going to be there and I'm going to be upset. So for you, what is your advice on, especially like if you haven't worn it for a while? Let's say, do you recommend like, okay, if you haven't worn it for a year, Harley, you're not gonna wear it, or is it 6 months, or is it 2 years? I don't know. I do have some things in my closet right now that I probably have not touched in a couple of years that I do need to get rid of. And another thing too is I like to switch out my stuff seasonally. So like summer clothes, I want to pull them out. What is your recommendation on good on utilizing things that are space efficient, meaning because I don't want to use bins after bins, and then the bins take up a lot of space too, right? So, are there any other products that you would probably recommend, like the vacuum bags or something else that we could use or you could recommend that would also save space as far as storage?
Okay.
Okay.
So it used to be organizers used to follow the rule of 1 year if you haven't worn it.
1 year.
Let's talk
Got
about
it.
it.
Okay.
But then the pandemic happened, and
Ah.
we didn't wear a lot of stuff during the pandemic.
Yes. Yes.
So that
I
and
went from
also
wearing
our
heels every
lifestyles
day
kind of
to
changed.
wearing yoga pants.
Right, right. And so that doesn't mean that the heels should go because
Right.
you know. So thinking about like your closet should represent who you are now. Your closet is you, it's your personal brand. So it should represent who you are now. So if that item that you haven't worn in 2 years really isn't who Harley is right now, you have to make a choice on whether or not you want to get that or not. So just think about that. The biggest way to save space in your closet is to use the same hangers. Those usually the velvet thin hangers.
Yes.
Just go to Walmart, Costco, wherever, and buy a bulk of those hangers, and you will see your life change.
What?
With just having the same hanger.
One little thing. The hanger.
Yes. So that's one way to make sure that you have enough space
Consolidate.
you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at like some custom closet, there are organizers that like come in and like do some of that custom closet work. You can measure and find the best price and products and things like that. And then as far as your seasonal items go, so I'm one that feels like when you vacuum the bags and you put things away, even in bins, it's so much put away that you don't, it's not accessible enough.
Yes.
Okay. So I recommend trying, if you purge and declutter enough in your closet to be able to have everything in there, that would be great. Or if there's another closet that you can use, like a guest room closet or a hall closet that you can use for maybe larger things like fancier dresses or heavier dresses or things like that could just go in there that you might not use as much. Right. And then you would have enough space for those things, but it would still be accessible. And the things that need to be covered, fancy dresses that might need to be covered or coats that you could cover it that way. Got it. Any ways that you can have like drawers in your closet is great. And like the clear shoe boxes where you can kind of lift the thing down and like you can see the shoes in there versus
where can I get those, by the way, Tiffany? Because I know
the Container Store has them. M Design is great to order offline.
Okay.
And I'm starting to see them pop up in different places now, but I am a fan of the Container Store and their qualities.
Yes.
Yeah.
perfect. I used to have I used when I purchased my shoes, I actually used to keep the original box and I had like, I don't know,
Mhm.
4 or 5 stacked high on that top shelf in the closet of
Uh-huh.
all my shoes.
Yes.
But I could easily decipher which shoe it was because I was just like, that's the box for that. Like I
Uh-huh.
knew that, right?
Yes.
But it took some room, and then my sister converted over to the plastic bins.
Uh-huh.
And so now she has like, the individual a bin for each shoe, and
Uh-huh.
she's able to see the shoe, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I
Did
think I'm
she
gonna
have
give
the
that a whirl
bin with the top on it, or she had the bin where
with the
you?
top on. Yes,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. So the
Hmm.
ones I'm talking about is with the latch. It's clear and it has a, so you don't have to like take the bins off to get to
Take,
the ones you
take
want.
right, got
It
it.
has a full latch, and
Okay,
you just put the shoes in and out. But they stack on top of the
okay.
boxes stack on top of each other.
What
They're
about for
called
boots
drop and
though?
punch shoes.
I feel like those are really good for like regular shoes, but then when it comes to boots, especially the high boots,
Mhm.
I know ladies, what's a good recommendation for storing those?
So I have a low hang bar in my closet. Like it's uh with the closet system, but I've seen people make them with like a shower bar,
Ah, yes,
extension
yes,
bar.
yes, yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
then there's like the boot clips, the little boot. There's like a boot hanger clip. Yeah, I found them at Big Lots. And you just clip your boots together and you hang it on that little rod, and then it's like mine is like lower, but you can
Uh-huh.
put it anywhere wherever you wanted it to go, like a tension rod, like a thick tension rod.
Seriously, you just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
There's so many different ways to
Wow.
that. Now during boot season, like now, I take my boots downstairs in like a little basket, like in the
Uh-huh.
garage, because
Yeah.
I need to sit down and put my boots on.
Yes.
But when I'm not, usually when I'm not wearing them for the other 3 seasons,
Yes.
in Georgia, I don't really need it for like 3 months.
Yes.
So
Right.
I just hang them up on that little
Wow.
rod in the closet.
Yeah, look at that. Okay.
Yeah.
So boot clips.
Yes,
You
boot
heard it
clips
here.
and on a rod.
Inside the bubble. Yes, in the rock. You heard it here on Inside the Bubble. Okay, so listen. Okay, so I also want to get into New Year planning, goal setting. How what how can we set up ourselves up for success when it comes to planning? I am personally, I'm a planner girl, so I have my planner, and I feel like I finally found kind of a planning system that helps me because what it does is not only do I set my goal for the year, but then it has me revisiting my goal on a quarterly basis and on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, it keeps me accountable for going back and saying, okay, break down the goal in quarter chunks and then break down the goal in monthly chunks. And then of course I have my week. And I'm always in the goal or I'm always working on the goal, right? But that's because I love it, even right. But for some people that are maybe starting out and they're like, okay, I'm gonna do this. What are some recommendations, some quick tips, some things that they can do to make sure that that goal doesn't fall off a month in? It's just like the gym.
Right.
January 1st, I hate it. Because everybody's gonna be in the gym. Everybody and mama's gonna be there. And I have to hang in there for a good month. And by February 1st, they're all gone.
No, I totally get that. Like I will work out at home in
Mhm.
January for that reason because I can't take it.
Yeah.
Um, but so I call those pauses. It's a way of managing like your energy and being more productive, right? And
Mhm.
so if you think about planning your goals and working on your vision um long term.
Mm-hmm.
The same way you think about, like, you know, that maybe every June your family goes on vacation. That's a
Mm-hmm.
pause that you already put in place. You have monthly pauses that you probably already put in place. We do that with holidays, and breaks and things like that. So you think about that as just as important, as a thing on your calendar as those typical pauses that you're already doing.
Yeah.
Um, and being very clear on your vision and what it is that you want, and then setting goals from that vision, scheduling it like you said, either monthly, quarterly, both. There's some things that I know I have to do weekly just to kind of stay on top of my goals, because if not, it doesn't become as much of that routine.
Mm-hmm.
And so treating that as if it was a important, significant thing on your calendar. Like, don't keep
Mm-hmm.
it away. Now, if something happens, somebody's in the hospital, you can't work on your goals. That's that's understandable, right?
Yeah, right.
But
You get a break.
right. But if you go ahead and schedule it and put it there, then you are more likely to stay true to that
Mm-hmm.
particular goal. And like, don't over, I don't want to say over goal yourself, right? But
Mm-hmm. Yes.
just be realistic about what it is
Right.
that you want to be able to do. And I'm someone that does that often, right? Because I think, oh, like, I know how to maximize this. I can do this, and this. And,
Right.
and I have to have coaches that say to me, like, look, yes, you can do all that, but what is it that's gonna like really get you to where what you're working toward?
Mm-hmm.
And like, those can be some vision things that you can add on later. But like, let's
Mm-hmm.
stick to what it is, and that your purpose and what you've been called to kind of do and to work on.
Yes.
Um, and that goes back to like having that white space, like even having white space with your goals, um, is important, because you just don't know what opportunities come available. Um,
Yes.
and if you decide that you want to work with this coach, or if you decide that you want to do this cohort program or fellowship or whatever that is, that you actually have space to say yes to yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
not, I don't know how I'm going to fit this in. I guess it's just not time for me to do it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that takes us back to not being as productive as we can be.
Okay. Wow. So for someone who is, a little, for those for those people that are already organizers, right? So how do you, because you talk about white space, and we talked about this early on, like how we were kind of raised and programmed, like the more productive you are, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you make sure that you organize and plan for space,
Mm,
right?
yeah. So for me, that's first doing a time audit.
Mm.
So with my clients, particularly adult clients, we do a time audit, and we take different color pencils, and
Mm-hmm.
look at what are your work hours, how sleeping, what time you go to bed, how much are you commuting, all of those things for 7 days.
Mm.
What's happening on Saturdays and Sundays, all of that. And that is white space, right? Because if I'm coloring in everything for work is going to be orange, and everything for the kids is going to be green, and yada yada yada, then I look at the white space, and it's like right in my face, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the place, and I need to delegate some things, or I need to outsource some things, or I just need to stop, delete, take those things out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer doing that anymore. Or it's also, oh, I have white space, and I'm just not using, like, what am I doing during that time that I
Mm-hmm.
could be focusing on my business, or focusing on this ministry that I have, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that they, the goals that they're looking to do. So
Got
it's
it.
actually actually making your thinking visible, right? Like taking it
Uh-huh.
out of your head and putting it out there
On
on
paper.
paper.
Yeah. Put
And
it
it's
in front
something
of you.
about physically doing it versus like
Yes.
doing it on like digitally. It's something about
Right.
physically doing it and
Yes.
having it in your face. Yeah.
Yeah. That is why, like, some people are like, you have a physical planner? I'm like, yes, I do. Because, like you said, there's something about writing it down for me,
Hmm.
that to-do list, and being able to like cross it off and visualize, oh, Harley, that's still at the top, and you have not touched it yet, right? Whereas I feel like I put it in my phone, it look, I'm,
Yeah.
yeah, but like having it written down on paper in front of me that's what works for me. And I'm not saying that works for everybody, but
Hmm.
I know for me that method works well.
Yeah.
So, any recommendation is to planning resources for individuals. I know you have that as part of your secret society.
Yes. 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 I have some favorite planner people. Um,
Perfect.
I love Mamie L. Pack. She has a Black Excellence Planner. She has
Okay.
one for students and one for, I mean, well, they have adults. I mean, anybody can use them. But the student ones has like highlights on HBCUs every month,
Ooh,
ways
love it.
self care and wellness and all that we just talked about, like built into the
Mm-hmm.
planners. And then she also has one a monthly planner for adults, just so you can write out different things. And then there's like books I read and ways I'm gonna take pauses and have self care and like
Mm-hmm.
extras in there. So I love her stuff. Um, I love the Passion Planner. I don't know if you've heard of Passion Planner.
Mm.
It is another woman owned, minority owned um, company.
Okay.
Um, it is similar to Mamie Pack, except it is weekly and monthly. And
Okay.
so it gives you kind of that space. It has like the hours, and it gives you kind of that space to like write everything out. It gives you free space for doodling and places for gratitude, and
Ooh.
there. And in the back of it are blank pages and like dotted grid pages where you can like
Yes.
set up, like it's a notebook and a planner all together. It's not
Right.
together. Really nice.
I love
Love
it.
it. Um,
You are
my
you are
favorite.
whispering sweet nothing in my ear right now, Tiffany. Oh.
Another one of my student planners that I like for middle school and high school is the Order Out of Chaos planner.
Ooh, okay.
And it was designed specifically for supporting kids during middle school and high school. Um,
Awesome.
so those are my
Okay. So
favorite.
please send us the link to
Okay.
those. Because I definitely want to include it to the listeners as they're, getting ready to go into planning season and they're getting ready to set those goals. I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to get their hands on these resources, of
Yeah.
course. And I always ask the guests that come on the podcast this question.
Um,
And so I'm going to ask you that question as well.
okay.
Tiffany, do you think that what you are doing right now is involves you walking in your purpose?
I believe that God has given me gifts and talents to share with others. I don't know if He wanted me to be an organizer. I don't know if He's up there saying that. But I know that I have been called to help people achieve wellness through organization and productivity. And
Love it.
this is my way of doing
Of utilizing those gifts
that.
that
Hmm.
he has given you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, OMG, believe it or not, we're here. Can't believe
Talk
it.
about organizing for a whole hour.
A whole hour. Who would have thunk it, right? People are like, what? Really? No, seriously. And there's more to talk about actually, but we're gonna cut it here. Thank you so much for enlightening us with your knowledge. I feel like, especially mothers on the go, we are that audience that needs this. And sometimes we're really bad about asking for help,
Mhm.
but I feel like if we had some of these systems in place, some of these organizations in place, it would alleviate some of the things that we kind of put on ourselves. Those expectations, those boundaries. We talked about, that self-care piece. Well, maybe, and I'm guilty of that, if I organize better and I plan better, then I would be able to get to consistently get to that self-care time, right? So it's really thinking about all those things for mothers on the go that will help them every single day. That will impact them every single day. And it's this little
Plus,
thing.
you need just a little help to get started, which is what
Yes.
organizers are for. Like,
Yes.
if I'm coming back to your house like every 3 months,
Hmm.
I'm not the cleaning lady.
Right.
I should be able to come and set you up, and like maybe during another transition or something like
Hmm.
that, and maybe twice, 2 or 3 times a year, maybe.
Right.
Like, it's all about you just getting a little help to figure out what's best for your home and your
Hmm.
family, your lifestyle, and
Right.
taking those strategies
Yes.
moving forward.
Absolutely agree. But yeah, but if you are a listener and you are interested in reaching out to Tiffany, to have you maybe you put that in your budget for next year, right? And you'd like for Tiffany to come in and help you jumpstart this organization thing. You're like, oh my gosh, I need it. Um, we will make sure to include Tiffany's information in the show notes. That way you have access and you can reach out directly to Tiffany and set up some time for her to come in and help you with that, especially as the new year is about to start. But thank you, insiders, for tuning in. As you know, we are dropping episodes every week, every Monday. We're dropping new episodes. I love it. Like I said, organization is my jam. I enjoy it. I love talking about it. I'm a planner. It's it's my jam. Because it's the only way I can stay sane having all the kids that I have. So I had to get on board real quick. But we make sure to follow the show and subscribe. There's the glow link in the show notes. Hit the glow link, support the podcast, and make sure that you follow, like, and share on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. Comment, let us know what you think, leave a review. And you know what I always say, there's purpose in your story. Until next time.
I hope you enjoyed our show today. Hit the subscribe button and share. Share this pod with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriends, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Bubble with HG. Keep the conversation going. Drop us a heart emoji, engage with us. We would love to hear from you. New episodes are dropping every Monday on your podcast streaming platforms. And remember, there's purpose in your story.